Hello there, Britt here. Today I'm going to be sharing my personal top 9 worst fandoms. Now, before I begin, let me just start by saying I have nothing against these fandoms or the people in them, as I am the trash thrown into a lot of these garbage cans, and I'm kind of just making fun of and pointing out the flaws of the people who enjoy the same things I do. So don't be offended if you're in any of these fandoms, please. Also, they aren't in any specific order, like worst to least worst or anything, they're just random. If you think one is worse than another, cool, but they're not specific here, so let's begin, shall we? Number 9. The Resident Evil fandom. Resident Evil, also known as Biohazard in Japan, is a survival horror video game-based media franchise created by Shinji Mikami and owned by the video game company Capcom. The franchise focuses around a series of survival horror video games that has since branched out into comic books, novels, and novelizations, sound dramas, a series of live-action films and animated sequels to the games, and a variety of associated merchandise, such as action figures. The overarching plot of the series focuses on multiple characters and their roles in recurring outbreaks of zombies and other monsters, initially due to the release of the T-virus, but still more throughout the franchise. All of these are biological weapons created by the fictional Umbrella Corporation. Now, I love the Resident Evil franchise. I grew up playing this series along with Tekken, so I think I can safely say I know my stuff. The problem with the fandom for Resident Evil, however, is that they can't seem to let go of the past, and usually complain when things are changed too drastically. I used to be one of these people, wanting things to stay the same as they used to be. In fact, I still am a little bit, with things like cartoons and movies. Not so much video games, though. Every Resident Evil game that I've played, I have either loved with all my heart, or at least enjoyed playing through it and not getting bored. Unless we're talking about the Outbreak games, I got bored with those, had no idea what was even going on, and just ended up giving them away. And hey, wanna know something funny? I actually like the newer Resident Evil games. Sure, I think the older games are much better. Like, the newer games are too easy, and they're more action and not enough horror, but I was never once bored while playing them. People in this fandom like to say things like, Resident Evil 5 was shit, Resident Evil 4 was so much better, or Resident Evil 6 was shit, Resident Evil 5 was better. See a pattern here? I know for a fact that when Resident Evil 7 gets released, the fans are going to be saying, Resident Evil 7 is shit, Resident Evil 6 is so much better. I, for one, cannot wait until Resident Evil 7 gets released. It looks scary, something a lot of fans wanted Capcom to bring back to the franchise. Oh right, that reminds me of another thing these fans complain about, which is, why can't Resident Evil have horror elements in them and be scary like they used to be? Capcom makes Resident Evil 7 looks terrifying. Ew, what is this? This isn't Resident Evil at all! It's freaking Silent Hill PT! Considering Silent Hill PT looks like it was going to be an awesome game, which a lot of people were looking forward to, and it got cancelled, I'd be happy Resident Evil 7 looks so similar. So, for all you Resident Evil fans out there who hate the new game so much because they're not the same, how about we stop complaining and just stop playing the new games, huh? I know you'll feel much better if you do that. Won't you agree? Number 8. The Steven Universe fandom. Steven Universe is an American animated television series created by Rebecca Sugar for Cartoon Network. It is the coming-of-age story of a young boy named Steven Universe who lives in the fictional town of Beach City with the crystal gems, Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl, 3 magical humanoid aliens. Steven, who is half gem, goes on adventures with his friends and helps the gems protect the world from their own kind. Sugar developed the series while working as a storyboard artist on Adventure Time. and it premiered on November 4th, 2013, as Cartoon Network's first animated series to be created by a woman. Wow. People on Tumblr lost their freaking minds with Steven Universe. So far, I haven't come across any rude or hurtful people in this fandom myself, but I have heard some pretty bad things, such as how a young artist had her life threatened over the internet because she happened to draw a chubby character in the series too skinny. What? Okay, so it seems people in this fandom take the characters in it way too freaking seriously. Like, I love the show, don't get me wrong. I mean, I also get upset when people make fan art of a character and makes them look completely different from how they are in their series. Like giving a flat-chested character gigantic breasts for one. But for you to actually bully someone over some harmless fan art? I even thought the drawing was super duper cute. Why do you guys have to be so mean to her for drawing Rose Quartz a tad bit smaller? Telling her in the comments that she drew her too skinny in a nice way, or just shutting up and liking her awesome art would have been enough. So yeah, the Steven Universe fandom takes the cartoon way too seriously. Almost like the show is Jesus and they have to treat it as such. For God's sakes, people, it's just a cartoon. An amazing cartoon, sure, but don't threaten and bully someone over it, please. If you don't like how she drew it, draw it yourself, or look at some other fan art. Also, staying off of Steven Universe Tumblr is probably best. Even the creators hate the Tumblr fans. Number 7. The Pokemon fandom. I'm not going to explain to anyone what Pokemon is, because I'm pretty sure even non-anime fans know what it is. If for some reason you don't know what Pokemon is, well, you need to get out more. The problem in this fandom is pretty much the same thing as the Resident Evil fandom. People just do not like to let go of the freaking past. I'm talking specifically about the Gen 1ers. Now, if you don't know what a Gen 1er is, it's a Pokemon fan who only likes the original 151 Pokemon, and anything after Kanto they despise without even trying to like it. Oftentimes, someone who likes Kanto and Johto only will be lumped together in the Gen 1er category. These are mostly the fans of the anime who think Misty is the only character in the series who matters and treat her like a queen or a goddess. So after she left the show, they stopped watching it or even caring about it, since apparently Misty is the only saving grace of the franchise. And don't even get me started on the Pokeshippers. So in other words, these people are blinded by nostalgia and refuse to acknowledge the existence of Hoenn, Sinnoh, Unova, and Kalos. I personally think these people are idiots. At least the ones who say all the new Pokemon suck and they haven't even tried them and they're just saying that because I guess it's cool to be oblivious to things outside of your close-mindedness. They're literally acting like little kids who refuse to eat their vegetables because they're yucky, even though they've never tried tasting them. Most of these Gen 1ers are grown adults, who I'm not saying are too old for the franchise, but I'm saying they're too old to be acting like babies throwing hissy fits. If you don't like the new Pokemon, fine. If you don't like May, Dawn, Iris, or Serena, fine. We'll let us other fans enjoy the new Pokemon and Pokegirls, since our nostalgia glasses broke long ago. Personally, my favorite gen is 4, and least favorite is 2, which isn't really that different from 1. Don't call me a new genner either, cause I grew up with the original 151 too. But you don't hear me complaining, so get off your high horse and stop being so close-minded. Or just get out there and try new things, for crying out loud. Or just shut up and get back into your corner, cause I can assure you, you're missing out. I'll talk more on this subject in my Pokegirl discussion. Number 6. The Furry Fandom. The furry fandom is a subculture interested in fictional anthropomorphic animal characters with human personalities and characteristics. Examples of anthropomorphic attributes include exhibiting human intelligence and facial expressions, the ability to speak, walk on two legs, and wear clothes. Furry fandom is also used to refer to the community of people who gather on the internet and at furry conventions. Let's see here. All I really have to say about this fandom is that it's very, very cringeworthy. Like, to the point where judging someone who's a furry is just like the new cool and hip thing to do. Furries can also be considered a fetish, one that a lot of people go overboard with. Now, I have no room to talk about weird fetishes here. Heck, I'm a freaking furry. But a lot of the things here are just, well, the only word to really describe it is cringe. I'm mainly referring to the dressing up in giant anthro suits and walking around town in them like it's normal. It's even worse when the people wearing said costumes get on their hands and knees and start acting like the animal they're wearing. Even though they're technically supposed to be humans with animal characteristics, not actual animals. So, not too much to say except that one word for this fandom. Don't avoid furries like the plague though. A lot of us are really decent people, but like I said over and over, since it's the best word to use, the cringe is strong with this one. Number 5. The My Little Pony Friendship is Magic fandom. My Little Pony Friendship is Magic is a children's animated fantasy television series produced by Hasbro Studios and DHX Media Vancouver. The series is based on Hasbro's My Little Pony line of toys and animated works, and is often referred by collectors to be the 4th generation, or G4 of the My Little Pony franchise. The series premiered on October 10th, 2010 on the Hub cable channel. Hasbro selected animator Lauren Faust as the creator, director, and executive producer for the show. Faust sought to challenge the established nature of the existing My Little Pony line, creating more in-depth characters and adventurous settings. My Little Pony. An amazing show that most people judge just by looking at the cover of it. Let's get started on the issues this fandom has, shall we? First off, I'd say that this fandom is the exact opposite of the Pokemon fandom. By that, I mean a lot of the fans only like Gen 4, which is Friendship is Magic, and think anything beforehand is a load of useless garbage which cannot compare to the modern Twilight Sparkle waifu material. When I was younger, I liked the MLP toys. I never actually watched the show, not until Gen 4 at least, so I can't really say if I hate anything before Friendship is Magic. I mean, I've seen clips and episode titles, and they do look really, well, not entertaining. But hate is a strong word, especially for something you know nothing about. Still looking at you, Pokemon fandom. Other problems in this fandom would be that a lot of fans think they'll make other people join with the love and tolerance motto, which is one reason a lot of outsiders hate us. Another reason would be that a lot of fans have to ponyfy everything, which means that a lot of fan art consists of characters from other series being drawn as a pony. I personally don't have a problem with this, if the character drawn as a pony makes sense being in the My Little Pony universe, such as a Deadpool pony. That would make sense, given that Deadpool is almost exactly like Pinkie Pie, but a lot of people complain about it. Doesn't really mean it's bad, but you get the idea. And lastly, I don't have a problem with a lot of bronies being adults. My problem is when the adult bronies start wearing full-body pony outfits and skip around town not expecting people to judge you. Looking at you, furry fandom. I'd say leave the full-body costumes to the kids and just buy a shirt or a hat, or heck, if you want to get crazy, a backpack with Pegasus wings attached to it. Just don't wear the full-body suits, please. You'll thank me later. We also have people in this fandom who think all the female characters are automatically lesbians, but I'm not gonna go into that. Take that how you want. Number 4. The Sonic the Hedgehog fandom. I'm not going to explain what Sonic the Hedgehog is either. Like, seriously, if you don't know, you need to get out more. This fandom is pretty similar to the bronies. By that I mean before FIM became popular, fans of this franchise used to sonify everything. They'd turn random characters into a Sonic character. Though nobody started complaining about this little trend until My Little Pony started doing it. People let it slide with Sonic, cause why the freak not? Also, the fandom is pretty similar to the Pokemon one. A lot of Sonic fans can't let go of their nostalgia. Thought Jason Griffith was a disgrace and should have never voiced Sonic. Even though Jason Griffith was personally my favorite voice for Sonic. And they think that if you enjoyed Sonic 06 that you must be brain dead. I've never actually played that game, but I know how bad it is. I'm not talking about the bestiality scene either. Talking about the horrible controls and the fact that Sonic literally died by the hands of a character we'll never see in the franchise again. But if someone enjoyed it, who cares? You don't control their lives, so who are you to say they can't enjoy something without being stupid or whatever? The shippers in this fandom are pretty bad too. You got the people who say Sonic and Amy belong together, and anyone who thinks differently should die. Or the Sonic and Sally belong together, and anyone who thinks differently should die. And the lesser known one, Sonic and Mina belong together, and anyone who thinks differently should die. Mina's very irrelevant, by the way. I'm personally a Son-Amy shipper, but I'm not going crazy because I know he'd never acknowledge her feelings. Except maybe in Sonic X, but that anime was bad. And maybe a Son-Amy shipper, but I'm pretty sure Sonic is asexual. At least in the games it seemed that way. Seems the comic books and cartoons are all different, so I'm going off of the games. So yeah, calm down guys. Just read your fan fictions in peace, you'll be fine. Lastly, the fan characters. I've seen some pretty good fan characters for this franchise, and I've seen some pretty bad ones. You know who you are, people who recolor. Number 3. The Creepypasta fandom. Creepypastas are horror-related legends or images that have been copied and pasted around the internet. These internet entries are often brief, user-generated ghost or alien stories intended to scare readers. They include gruesome tales of murder, suicide, and otherworldly occurrences. According to Time magazine, the genre has its peak audience in 2010, when it was covered by the New York Times. This fandom is full of people who take things too damn seriously, and people who make really bad fan characters. Let's begin. The first thing I said, that people take things too seriously here. Yeah, way too seriously. I'm referring to those two stupid girls who tried to sacrifice their friend to my bae, Slenderman. They were on the news, and the Creepypasta website was almost completely shut down because they did this. I'm so glad that girl survived, but really guys, he's not real. Even if he was real, if you knew anything about him, you'd know he chooses you, not you do something stupid and drastic and wait for Senpai Slender to take you away, you morons. Onto a lesser serious topic here. A lot of the fan pastas are extremely lame. Like, I'm not even trying to be mean or hurt anyone's feelings, but when you make a fan character that's more Mary Sue than freaking Kirito, slap the words "the killer" at the end of their name and expect them to be a good character, then you're sadly mistaken. Fan characters. No, not just fan characters. OCs in general have to be well thought out. They have to have weaknesses along with their strengths. And if you're gonna throw in some tragic backstory for them, make it realistic at least. And for all that is holy, don't make them overpowered and have them fall in love with an already popular pasta. There's a reason people dislike Mary Sues and Gary Stews. If you don't want your characters being lumped into the shonen protagonist bunch, I suggest you follow my advice. Number 2. The Undertale fandom. Undertale, stylized as all caps, Undertale, is a role-playing video game created by indie developer Toby Fox. In the game, players control a human child who has fallen into the underground, a large secluded region underneath the surface of the earth, separated by a magic barrier. The player meets various monsters during a quest to return to the surface, mainly through the combat system. The player navigates through many bullet hell attacks by the opponents cyclically, and can opt to spare monsters instead of attacking and killing them. These choices affect the game, with the dialogue, characters, and story changing based on outcomes. Human! Do you know the problems with this fandom? Well, I'll tell you. Undertale fans are a bit similar to the brownies who try to convert outsiders into their fandom. They treat the game like a gift from the heavens, like it's literally the best thing to come out of existence. See, when people come up to me telling me over and over and over again that I should get into something, it makes me not want to. It takes the fun and enthusiasm I was probably going to use for it and flushes it down the toilet. That's why I never got into Tokyo Ghoul, because so many people begged me to watch it, making me less inclined to do so. See the problem here? I know not everyone is like me, but I'm sure some people are. If you tell someone time and time again to watch something, or play something, or read something, you might just be changing their mind about getting into it at all. Another thing about some of these fans is that a lot of them used to be FNAF fans, who switched over to Undertale because apparently Undertale is in now, and that FNAF is lame now. Undertale is where it's at. Be here or be square. Well, I'd rather be square, thank you very much. It's not like these games are the same genre. You switch from a horror game to a role-playing game, and I guess that's cool? So you're telling me you were never a real fan to begin with? Because real fans don't just switch over to something new like that, but I digress. There's also the weird ones who ship Sans and Papyrus, even though 1, they're skeletons, and 2, they're brothers, so yeah, I don't have much else to say about these fans except that Undertale is extremely overrated, so, you know. Moving on. Number 1, the Five Nights at Freddy's fandom. Five Nights at Freddy's is an indie point-and-click survival horror video game created by Scott Cawthon. The game centers on a fictional pizza restaurant called Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, where the player must act as a night security guard, defending themselves from the malfunctioning animatronic animal characters by tracking their movement through the facility using security cameras. This fandom is full of furry-loving weirdos who think Chica from FNAF 2 is super sexy. This fandom also has been overrun by kids under the age of 14 who think FNAF is the scariest and best game ever. So yeah, I'm not gonna go into people's weird fetishes again, but you know, I don't think robot animals with dead children inside can be sexy. No, robot animal with a dead purple guy is freaking hot. Anyway, those are some of the problems with it. Another problem would be that the fans of it are often never satisfied. Kind of like the Resident Evil fans. They beg Scott for more games. Sometimes saying, "The new games are all the same, Scott. Make the next one more challenging." Scott makes the games more challenging. "OMG, Scott, this is too hard. Why do you make it this hard?" Are the ones who say, "Scott, FNAF isn't scary anymore. Can't you make them even scarier?" Scott makes the game scarier. "OMG, Scott, it's too scary." Talking about FNAF 4 here, by the way. A lot of people say he's milking the series too, even though a lot of times people beg him to keep making more. "I don't know what you guys want from me!" exclaims Cawthon in an exasperated way. "You guys bring tears to my eyes!" Lastly, the people who bring up FNAF-related things in the comment section on YouTube, despite the video having absolutely nothing to do with FNAF. You guys are part of the reason people call us cancerous. By the way, stop calling things cancerous. It makes you look and sound like an idiot. So, those are my list of terrible fandoms. There's more out there, of course, but I decided to stick with just 9. Like I said in the beginning, I have nothing against these fandoms, as I am part of all of them, except the Undertale one. And I'm just making fun of my people, unless they're actually terrible people, like in the Steven Universe and Creepypasta fandoms, in which case you guys suck. These fandoms are really bad in my opinion, but we all know that the haters are a lot worse than the fandoms themselves, a. If you have any fandoms you think are really bad, I'd like to know, for no particular reason except boredom. So yeah, this is Britt signing off. Hope you guys aren't too sensitive about my list.